Hey everyone, how you guys doing? I hope everyone's having a good night. It's a little late. I can't sleep, obviously, so I decided to make a little short video. Listen, I want to emphasize on something too, that most of you are probably doing, and you probably shouldn't do. I had a tendency of doing this, and I did it a lot. You're gonna have to detach yourself from social media with your ex. If you still have her on social media, Facebook, Instagram, you probably want to sever that tie a little bit because you're going to start seeing some videos or photos are going to pop up and stuff like that. They're probably going to hurt a little bit. You're going to see pictures of your wife or your husband with someone else. You're going to feel bad about it, um, and that's not where you want to be. You want to move forward. You don't want to keep looking at those things. They're not gonna be good for you. They're not gonna be healthy for you. It really isn't. It's just gonna, it just you must well just put a dagger in you and just twist it. To be honest with you, because that's exactly what's gonna happen. You're gonna fall back into depression. You're gonna be stressed out. You don't want none of that right now, especially if you've been going through this for a while, like I have. For me, things are popping up all the time on Facebook and just the memories and stuff like that of videos or pictures that I've taken. I don't go into her Facebook profile or anything like that because she blocked me anyway, and I wanted her to block me. I didn't have a problem with that. I just don't need to see any of her content. You know what I mean? It just doesn't because it's just gonna be brutal. It's not gonna. It's not gonna be good for you. Right now you need to heal. And start looking forward um, to a new chapter in your life. You're going to be sitting here at nighttime and you're going to be looking at old photos, movies, clips of, you, your wife or your husband, your kids, and it's just going to tear you up inside. And you don't really want that, especially in the evening hours. It's going to be brutal. There's no activity in the house. I mean, I don't even have pets. So, at least if you have pets, you can have some kind of comfort in having somebody or an animal around you, that the stress reliever, But, I think that you're going to be going down the wrong road if you start looking at these pictures and videos. They're not really good for you. It's not really healthy for you. It's not going to help you recover. It's just going to be, it's going to be brutal, to be honest with you. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. Because if you're doing that now, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I know how you're going to be feeling. That's for sure. Because I did it, and I did it for a long time. And that's probably why it's taking me a little longer to recover. And like I said before, I did it by myself. I didn't have a support system. That's why it's taking me a lot longer. I'm having a hard time dealing with it. I mean, I am good. I'm better. I'm accepting what's going on here, but it's still gonna hurt because I personally still love my wife, and I know I'm not gonna be with her again, but I still love her. I would take her back right now if I could. To be honest with you, which is crazy. People are saying, "Well, why would you want to take her back after everything that happened?" And I'm like, "Well, I still love my wife, and at the end of the day, it was, I was the one that pushed her away. I was the one that, it was my fault, with my behavior and stuff like that. I drove her away. It's my fault. If I would have just did what she asked me to do, I'd still be married. That's just the bottom line. And you might be going through that too yourself. And don't kill yourself over it because there's nothing you can do about it now. It's over. If I'm sure everyone here, if they had an opportunity to go back, they would, just like I would. If I can change things, I would. But you can't. You just can't. It's over. Especially if they're with someone else right now. Because if you start seeing some of those photos and they look happy, it's gonna upset you a little bit. I mean, I want her to be happy. You know, I still care for her. I love her, and she did give me a child, which is great, and I'm gonna always be grateful for that. But you don't want to see those photos because in the back of your mind you can be saying that should be me there. It's crazy. But I think that you should take real caution with that because you just gonna go back down that road you don't want to be in. It's gonna take you a little bit longer to recover. Right now, it's all about recovering, focusing on your new life without her or him. It's just the bottom line. You're gonna obviously have a relationship with your kid, and that's what you want. But um, it's all about recovering. Healing this right here and this, and they go together. And that's just the bottom line. You don't want to. So you want to keep away from that. I want to emphasize that you really want to keep away from that. Don't go looking into her profile and see what she's doing. She might be out with her friends, having a real good time, and it's gonna hurt a little bit, but they're supposed to have a good time. They were probably having a good time when you were still together. Nothing's changed except you're just not gonna be in the picture any longer, and that's something you're gonna have to accept. So basically, they're probably gonna continue. They're gonna continue to do the things that they were doing before. And you know what they are. You already know what they're gonna be. Things that you did together and that you had fun doing, and they're gonna be doing that with someone else, and that's just a vacation. You might start seeing pictures of vacations and stuff like that with somebody else, and it's gonna drive you crazy. They're gonna be hugging or they're gonna be kissing and whatever, and it's gonna hurt. So I would suggest to stay away from that because you're gonna have a hard time sleeping at night. That's for sure, and that's when you're most vulnerable at night. So I definitely would suggest not doing that because I'm gonna be worried that you're gonna get caught up in the stuff that I got caught up in, and it's gonna be brutal, and you're gonna lose weight. You're not, and it's gonna affect your job. You're gonna not want to eat. You're not gonna want to exercise. You're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna want to do anything, and then you're gonna start going this downhill spiral. And it's going to take a long time to recover, and it's going to, you're just going to relapse, and you don't want to do that, especially when you're starting to feel better, and you're climbing out of the hole, so to speak, and it's just a matter of walking in the direction that you want to go in. If you fall into that pit again, you're going to have to climb out again, and it might take you a little bit longer to climb out. You're going to have serious mental issues. You really are. It's going to affect you mentally, and then you're really going to have to start seeing a therapist, take some medication and stuff like that, and maybe go away for a while. I don't know. I don't want you doing that because it's about self healing, and that's what you want. So that's my advice to you. Just proceed with caution. Don't do that because it's going to hurt. Like I said, I went through it and it was brutal, and it took me a long time to recover. And I didn't even want to see my friends. I didn't want to see my family. There was a time there where I didn't see my daughter for a couple of weeks, and that was painful because I knew I had to interact with my wife, and I didn't want to see her. You might get angry. You might start arguing. And you're just gonna prove her right or him right that you don't have no coping skills, and it's just gonna push them away further, and your relationship with her is gonna be affected. Like you said, you should be cordial with your significant other. Have a good line of communication. You can be friends. You're gonna destroy that if you go down that road. So I suggest you don't do that. So that's my advice that I want to give you. So as always, stay strong up here, stay strong here. You got to protect that, and this is the advice I'm giving you, especially for those who are going to go through it now. just proceed with caution, because you want to protect this and that. That's the main thing you got to protect, because these two, they go together, and if one goes, the other one can go. It doesn't take long. Um, and I experienced it, and it's one of the worst things you can experience if you were on the receiving end. So I will suggest that you got to protect yourself. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Okay. I'm trying to get it out there, because the more people I have, the more listeners I have, the more I can get through to people. And there are some people that I need to get through that are going to go through it really hard, and they're going to need someone, especially if they don't have anyone in their family or friends, and they're doing this by themselves, and they're completely lost, broken. They could be a broken person. And when you're a broken person, it's really hard to recover. I was broken, and like I said, it took me like 6, 7 months, 8 months to recover. I really did, and that's when I started feeling a little bit better. So during the course of those 6, 7, 8 months, I was no good to anyone. I didn't do anything I enjoyed doing. I didn't go to the beach. I didn't ride my motorcycle as much. And people were concerned about me. I alienated a lot of friends. Believe it or not, I still have a few friends that I haven't spoken to since my wife left. And those are like really good friends that don't live close by, but I haven't returned any of their calls, because then I'm going to have to, talk about what happened, and I don't want to do that. It's just, I don't want to keep going over it and over it again. So I'm going to wait till I feel a lot better about myself, and then give them a call and explain to them what's going on, because they're probably wondering what the heck is going on with Rob. I haven't heard from him in almost a year. I had a buddy of mine. He keeps calling me and texting me, and I haven't answered the phone or anything like that, because I'm going to feel bad about it, and I'm going to be bringing everything up again, and I'm trying to eliminate that, and I'm trying to just stay focused and proceed with my life over here, and I just don't want to have to explain myself again, and he'll be understanding. He's a good guy, but he'll probably ask me why I never called him or anything like that. I only a few people know what's going on. Some of my good friends, and some family members know what's going on, and some of them are concerned with me. My uncle, I see almost every day. He's been great. He'll take me out. We go get some coffee, get something to eat. We talk, reminisce a little bit, but at the end of the day, I really don't talk about what's going on with him, because he knows, and he doesn't want to bring it up either. He knows that I'm going through a lot right now. Yeah, so basically that's what I want to talk about. So please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification, ring that bell, and if you leave a comment, I'll like I said, I answer all my comments. If I can get to them all. If you need somebody to talk to, just leave a comment. I'll get back to you. If it's super late, I'll get back to you the next day. It's not a big deal, because we all gonna need someone to talk to. Okay, we all gonna need someone to talk to. And if you're home alone and you can't sleep, and you're watching this video, send me a comment. I'm gonna be up for a while watching a movie or two, because I can't sleep. So as always, be strong up here and here. You take care of yourself. You can look at the big picture here, okay? Focus on being healthy, staying healthy, and everything will be all right, okay? So you take care of yourself, okay? And I'll leave a short tomorrow, sometime before noon. And take care of yourself. Have a good night's sleep, okay? And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.